Here we are. Welcome, everybody. Created by Tom and Justin. We are here with one of my dear friends, Jason Marsden. We go all the way back to Eerie, Indiana. Thanks for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate it. My
Look at that
pleasure.
shirt.
My pleasure. And check this out. I'm going to do a little light reading while we're things I've stolen. Yeah, I've major love for that
That
whole
is so
experience that
cool.
we had. Yeah, that is so cool. So we got to talk about Eerie. Omri and I were doing Eerie. We're playing Simon and Marshall. Halfway through the season, suddenly Dash X appears, and of course, you were phenomenal to work with and such a delight. What was that process like for you coming in, auditioning, and then showing up on set and working with us two kooky people? It was exciting. I was a fan of the show before I even auditioned because I mean everyone watched that pilot episode, the Foreverwhere. Like, this is so cool. What is this? Oh my gosh, I watch it every week. And then when I found out they were doing another season, they're adding a character. They wanted me to come and read. Uh, Stupid excited. I went through like a bunch of rounds of auditions. Went to network. It was down between me and Toby Maguire. I just
Who?
have to say that.
Who?
Yeah, he did a couple of Ang Lee movies. Never heard of him. Uh, and because I was such a Joe Dante fan, I know he was involved, and they let me have the part. And I remember the first table read, I was really nervous because the script just said Dash just like laughs maniacally all the time, so I was like really overdoing it and blowing my lungs out. And my mom was like, "You should calm down a little bit. You're probably embarrassing yourself." Uh, and I remember I talk with Omri about this sometimes, and he remembers. I was especially nervous being it's like you guys were there first. Not that there's any sort of hierarchy. Everything that was going on was creating in my own brain. Yeah, that you guys are the stars. I'm this new guy. Now, hopefully, I will feel welcomed. Uh, I won't. Hopefully, I won't do anything to upset them, and you guys will tell your studio teacher to fire me or something. But I remember it was the first day of shooting, and during the break, we're at that CBS Radford, and I love walking around the backlot sets because I used to work at Universal Studios, and I would go in the backlot and just walk through all the sets because you never know what you'd find. And who did I find in the facades but Omri smoking a cigarette, 15, 16 years old. And he turns to me and goes, "Dude, don't tell anybody." And I went, "I think my job here is secure. I think I think I have found some leverage." Yes. Your job was secure until you came on and killed the show. What happened? I don't know, Justin. I don't know. Oh man, I hope it wasn't me. I hope people
No.
still. I
That
don't know.
was
Yeah, it was a weird time slot. I think is what we figured out. But boy, it was so much fun, wasn't it? So fun, man. I was just on here. We were just talking right before we started. We just interviewed Omri. It was a blast, and yeah, we were talking like that was the best show we ever worked on. I mean, we've been fortunate. Your career is far superior to ours, and you've done a million things we'll talk about. But Omri and I as kids, like, just love working on Eerie, and it was just such a joy and such a pleasure. And working with you was so fun, and the guest stars you brought on. And how was the experience for you? Like, how does it rank in terms of the million projects you've done? It is still to this day, Justin, just thinking about it brings me the most excitement. Like, if there's any job I could do again, I was like, I would totally do that again. It was such a great. I First off, I learned a lot. I had done a lot of sitcoms, and not knocking the job. I was grateful for those experiences, but doing a single camera, like almost little movies, was very very different. And working with a different level of creatives, and I just love the spooky and the macabre and the sci-fi, and it had all of that. And then I knew all the different guest star actors we had. Ray Walston, for crying out loud, I was a big fan of. Really, and then our directors, we had like Bob Balaban, who was before people knew him on like the Christopher Guest movies. Like, he was in Close Encounters, and he's a director of his own right. I mean, he's been around forever. Decent career. Decent career.
Yeah.
And I mean, John Aston. John Aston. Aston. Oh, Look, Gomez Adams, super amazing human being, still with us. Hopefully he's doing. I actually did a movie with Sean Astin, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, I did a small thing with your dad. How's he doing? Is he good?" He's like, "He's good. He's just a little bit of home. We're trying to keep him stationary, but he's still good."
Yeah, freaking brilliant actor.
Yeah.
So fun. We had
Yeah.
a blast. Speaking of, you got this Eerie, Indiana T-shirt. You got the Eerie
Sure.
Examiner newspaper. Where do you get all this good stuff? I don't have anything.
I stole it from the set, man. I still got my parking pass. I stole one of the Harvest King lottery tickets. And I have our crew shot for the last
Oh,
days.
look at that. That's
And
awesome.
you're sitting next to me. We're sitting together here.
I see it.
But I think you had some sort of insight about the demise of the show, because I remember your mom would send you into my dressing room to work on auditions for you for other shows.
Really? I don't even remember that. Are you
Yeah,
serious?
I think one of them was uh what was the show you did with Tom Skerritt and Adam Wiley?
Picket fences.
Picket Fences. I think one was Picket Fences, because your mom was like, "We're not counting on this show to last. We're jumping on any other train that's going in any direction." And she had me help you with auditions. I was very flattered. I was like, "I don't know why me."
Well, my mom knew. She was like, wait, Jason is a brilliant actor. Go into his trailer, talk to him, have him rehearse lines. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay a coach $300 an hour. This is free because you're working with him. He's got to do it. And just have him work on lines with
Yes.
you. And lo and behold,
Yes.
I got picket fences because of you. I should be sending you bottles of champagne.
The satisfaction I get just from telling everybody that you got that job because of me is all I need. That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you, brother. Oh,
Yeah.
so good to chat with you, man. I love you. You're the best.
What was the experience like for you? I mean, like,
Oh.
you were young. How old were you when you started it?
I was 11. I got the gig. I'd done
Yeah.
kind of like you in the sense of, I think you had done more work than I have, but I had done guest appearance, commercials, guest stars, reoccurring. Eerie was my first series regular gig, and it was just a blast. I mean, I couldn't even have dreamt how fun the experience was. Working with
Real.
you, working with Omri, working with Coral and Jose, the creators. Joe
Yeah.
Dante, Bob Balaban, the amazing directors. Toby, the guest stars, John Astin, Ray Walston. And then, as you said, every episode was like a little movie. And the
Yeah.
crew, we were so tight. The cast, we were so close. And, we had our little treehouse where Marshall and Simon kept their clues as we
Yes.
grew up there. It was like a kid's paradise. I mean, we'd be crawling around on set and they'd have
Yeah.
the fog machine going. So, I mean, we had the Lost World where everything Lost would go to. And we had these just incredible sets. Yeah, I think Omri and I were talking like at the time, the most expensive set in TV history was on our show. So it was just an elaborate playground, and we got to have so much fun. And the rest of the cast, and just it was a blast. It was the most fun show that I've ever worked on. I've always dreamed of it coming back, and we haven't yet, but we're still working on it.
Now I started acting at 11 as well. That's when I started, and still figuring things out, and still thrust in these situations, and learning as I went. But you seemed like you knew what you were doing instantly. There was like very little direction for Justin. I remember this. I mean, you were always performing at 11, and you always got the jokes, and you got the seriousness of it. I mean, you're just a natural.
Oh, that's sweet. No, well, I started like at 5.5. Didn't get my first gig till 6.5. So, as I say to all you 5-year-olds out there who are giving it a shot, don't give up because by 6, most likely you're going to get a gig.
All you 5-year-olds watching right now,
Right.
yes,
Oh,
turn off This American Life and listen to us. Yeah,
Well, you've gone on. You've had an illustrious career.
we're very lucky. Yes.
Highlights. You're brilliant, so talented, so fun. Tell me about Tom, my partner, who's part of this show. His kids love the Goofy movie, and honestly,
Yes.
when I'm talking to Max, what was it like to book the Goofy movie and work on the Goofy movie and working with the wonderful Bill Farmer?
It was a dream come true. It was because I was a big Disney nerd. I love to go to the theme parks, collected all this stuff. I still have a bunch of, I mean, I just moved, so I'm still in boxes, but I still have so much stuff to be unearthed. And like, how much cooler can it be to be a Disney fan and like landing the voice of Goofy's son, for crying out loud, you know? I'm like permanently in the yuckin' zeitgeist, if you will. And I knew Bill Farmer was. I met him a couple times before, and you do a lot of cartoons. It's such a joy to work with other actors. I haven't worked with another actor in voiceover in years, Justin. It's so I miss it. But
Yeah.
Bill and I recorded together on the Disney lot off and on for the course of like a year and a half, 2 years,
Wow.
and
That's
it was
for folks who don't know, that's like a massive time frame because usually
yeah,
we're doing something in a day or maybe a few days. So
yeah.
to work that consistently for film, I mean, that's an incredible amount of time. That's awesome.
Yeah, like Hey Arnold, those are what, like 4 hour sessions, one
Oh,
day,
yeah,
TV.
right.
They got to crank those out.
You're in and out in 20 minutes, you know? So
Yeah,
this is really unique.
yeah. Feature films, they really like Kevin Lima, our director, who is outstanding. Uh, he, they were just really taking their time and making sure every nuance is right. I mean, he gave much more care in hindsight. Like if you go to like if you really dive deep into the inception of this movie and where how it came about and struggles that it took to get there. He put what's that phrase? It's like he didn't have to go that hard, but he did. He did with us. In fact, there is a documentary that is doing the festival circuit called "Not Just a Goof." And I've seen it, and it's wonderful. And if anyone's a Goofy movie fan, they will love this movie. I think they're hoping they got Don Hahn involved, the producer of Pocahontas and Lion King and all that. They're trying to he's trying to help get it on Disney Plus so everyone can see it. It's just wonderful.
Oh, how cool. And now there's a big resurgence of the Goofy movie. You've got the power line dance, which has taken over
Yeah.
social media. What's it like to, see this great 90s film that you worked on have such popularity with kids nowadays? And, seeing this dance kind of reverberated everywhere.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Like you work on stuff,
Yeah.
and then you forget about it, and you're lucky to have done it. And then yeah, it's been next year will be 30 years. That's how old I am. That's how old we are, Justin. It'll be 30 years, and people are still watching it and showing it to their kids, showing it to their grandkids, and it still stands up. It's a relationship movie. It's a buddy comedy. It's a relationship movie, and those things will always last so long. And it tickles me pink, man.
That's awesome. Well, it's a classic. And speaking of another classic, Hocus Pocus. Uh, Mazel
That
tov on
thing.
that, man. That's a cool, what a
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
just actually, Tom and I just, I had seen it for the first time just recently. Tom's been watching it for years. His kids are massive fans, and that movie holds up. I hadn't seen it.
I think so. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fantastic. It's
Yeah.
so fun. It's a
Is it?
classic, and it because it's great, and you guys are phenomenal. What was it like to get the part and voice Binks, and then tell me about that experience.
Well, I did audition for Max, and which Omri booked. And then I think I auditioned for the Bullies. They kept bringing me in, and didn't pan out. And I was kind of disappointed because it sounded cool.
Yeah,
And then I was working on the Disney lot doing, I think, Boy Meets World, and they were shooting right next door. And I knew Omri, I knew Vanessa
yeah,
Shaw, the amazing Vanessa Shaw, because she and I had a mutual friend. So every chance I got, I would just go and visit the set because I love crashing sets. So I was on set a whole bunch, and then months go by. It's done. They've wrapped. It's in post production. They've animated the cat mostly, and Sean Murray, the amazing Sean Murray, from NCIS and many other things, he was hired to play Human Thackeray and do the voice. But this happens more than people think, that the studio just changes their mind about stuff. And I think Sean was using his own voice, and Thackeray is from 1700s colonial Salem, probably an immigrant of some sort. He should have some sort of accent. And so another audition came out. I read for it. I read for Kenny Ortega. I booked it, and I had to go in, and it's just much more cost effective to have an actor like loop it to picture and put me in the outfits and all that. So man, third time's a charm. I nailed it. Nailed that part finally. And it was even more special because I got to see it. Like I'm seeing the film right in front of my face. And it's mostly cut together. The score was mostly there, and most of the effects. So I got to really see like, wow, this is really cool. This is really special. The animation they were doing for Binks was like the first time applying CG to like an animal character like that. Uh, and then it gets released in July, and it bombs uh you know like crazy. Yeah. And then 30 years later, here we are again. People are still digging him. I still see Omri. Yeah.
July's a perfect time to release a Halloween movie, right? And,
Yes, marketing. It's
good. Kudos to you.
good stuff.
But yeah, Hocus Pocus. Actually, question, because you talked about Goofy movie. You worked with Bill. You were reporting at Disney for about a year and a half. Now you get Hocus Pocus to do the voice of Binks. Approximately how long did it take you to actually record that voice?
I think Hocus Pocus was like 3 or 4 sessions.
There you go.
There's probably, I think Binks is a total of like maybe like 20 or so lines. And our animation director Chris Bailey was a huge background in Disney animation. He was in charge of the Binks animation. He was very like, I thought I would nail it. He's like, oh no, you're off like 2 frames. We're gonna do that again. So they were very meticulous about it. Again, feature film. They take their time.
Very cool. Very cool. And now you brought up another huge 90s hit, Boy Meets World. They actually have a massive podcast. I mean, usually, have you done a podcast?
I've done their podcast. I did. Then they took it on tour around the country, and they flew me to Milwaukee to do like a guest appearance on that. And yeah, they just crush it with that. They know their audience. They know their zeitgeist, where they fit in, and they have used it.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, a show I grew up with that I love, Full House. You did Full House, which I love.
Yep.
Now I remember Full House did a reboot. They wanted you on it, and you said no. So tell me how that happened. Because like people would dream of being on Full House reboot. And you're like,
Oh, I didn't just like flat out say no. I was interested, and then I'm talking like months went by, and then there's like last minute. It's like, hey, can you do it on this date? I'm like, I'm scheduled to be in Yosemite at a friend's wedding. Like we're kids, like a camping wedding. I'll be off grid. Like I don't know if I can. Let me juggle some things. Oh no. I was supposed to be at Dragon Con. I got invited to Dragon Con in Atlanta, which if you've done like the pop culture con circuit, like that's like the white whale. That's like one like you got to check out. So it's like really excited to do that. So it's like, wow, Dragon Con or this. So we're doing negotiations while I was in Yosemite. So there was dodgy receptions back and forth. I remember like I made a point. I remember leaving camp, driving down to the nearest library to find Wi-Fi to check in on emails to see if, because it's like, I have to be here on this certain date, I have to do this, work it out. And I didn't hear back from him. So to not distract myself from this good time I was having camping, I was like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, it didn't work out. Think of me in the future. So I just kind of wrote it off. And then we're doing the camping. We come back to land, and then my emails just flood. It's like, no, we want you to do it. Is it money? What do you need? I'm like, they sent me the script. I was like, I just can't do it. Like, I think, because I live in Nashville. Atlanta's like a 4-hour drive. If I did Fuller House, I'd have to go to LA, work until Friday, be flown to Atlanta Friday night. I'd miss like most of Dragon Con. So I was like, peace be with you. Don't hire Hal Sparks and have fun. They hired Hal Sparks. They did it without me. It's fine. It wasn't for lack of trying, but I'm glad I think I made the right choice, because my buddy Alex, who I've known since we were kids, fellow actor, he flew up and we drove to Atlanta together. I met my girlfriend that weekend, who we're still together 8 years later. It was meant to be.
Meant to be. Well, Dragon Con, you are the con master. You are everywhere. The fans love you. You're talking to the fans. What is that process like for folks who haven't been out there to meet you? You know, I know you're at cons all around the country. What can you kind of describe that experience meeting fans, and when fans meet you and you bring so much joy to them?
It's so much fun, Justin. It's like someone mentioned it's like you can't when you work on something, you can't like sit in other people's living rooms or go to the movies with them to see how they react. But you get people coming up to you all day at conventions, and they share these amazing stories with you, like a Goofy movie. I have so many, like the most universal story I get is I had a tumultuous relationship with my parent, but we bonded over this movie. It's the one thing we could get along with, or I had cancer and the only thing that got me through it was watching this cartoon, or I was deployed and the only thing that got me through these situations was this. And it's like, wow. I mean, I didn't these ex- experiences I never thought of. Um, and it humbles you, for sure. Because I admit I did like the convention things for attention. I like the attention, but to hear how it affects people is beyond my comprehension. It's wonderful.
That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Pretty fantastic. And
Yeah.
I know you have a son. You're very close with your son. Did you
Yes.
ever think of getting your son into acting? Is he interested in the bug at all, or doing it when he grows up? What are your thoughts?
No, I mean I've always been like, I'll guide him whatever he wants to do. He'll have my support, and he has never shown any interest.
Huh?
He I know he likes his friend group. He's just like a normal kid. He doesn't like I'm the like look at me. I'm the starving for attention. He's like quiet. He likes playing his games. He likes his friend group. He likes watching anime. He's 14. He's just like, all right, just stay a kid. That's what he wants to do. He has no rush to grow up or do anything. He's still figuring out what's exciting him, and I'm almost jealous of that. Yeah.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, our show is about IP and creating IP. And I know, at least last time I was checking you out, you were doing all sorts of incredible shows in Nashville and in Tennessee. You had like burlesque dancers, you did comedy, you're creating all these wonderful shows. Are you still doing that? And what are you developing? What are you creating?
Thank you for asking, man.
Good.
Yeah, actually, 10 years ago, in January, it'd be 10 years. I it was shortly after I moved to Nashville, and I was watching all these like old Dean Martin show compilations and Muppet shows. I'm like, man, I would love to do something like that. There's so many great musicians here and comedians, and so for my 40th birthday, I threw myself a variety show, and it went over so big. We just kept doing it. Like the local town, they just loved it. And I during the pandemic, I turned into an internet production. You can see it on Mars Presents on YouTube, the Mars Variety Show. And yes, I would still very much like to do that. I've just been so busy traveling, but it's always been in the back of my brain. But this January, I'll be 50,
Wow.
and I want to do it.
Phenomenal.
Don't I? It's the lighting. It's the filter. It's a
All
filter.
about the light. No, you look amazing. That's great.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to bring it back. I mean, that's so cool.
I want to. Yeah. I want to very much. I want to do it live, and I want to do it again as an internet show or a streaming show that I could say it's like so cheap to produce, and so easy, and we're just lousy with amazing musical talent around here, and the basis of the show is like it's kind of like Burt Sugarman's Midnight Special from like the '70s. I mean, they were showing acts like Aerosmith and Helen Reddy and David Bowie, people that nobody heard of at the time, and I just feel like we could showcase these guys and gals and theys and thems who perform like on Broadway for like no money. I was like, no, you need a bigger platform than this. Let's showcase you here and see how you look like on like a Tonight Show sort of setting, and pair it up with stand up comedy and sketch and whatever else we can throw at.
That's awesome. Showcasing incredible emerging talent. That's great.
Yeah.
In the 70s, I remember actually just popped in my mind when you did the movie about Billy Crystal.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Mr. Saturday Night. Yeah.
Mr. Saturday Night, which was, I mean, so cool. How was that? I was working with Billy Crystal.
Great. That was 16, turned 17 during that production, and he directed it, and I'm basically playing him as a teenager. And it was a very long audition process. Like I must have read for him like 8 to 10 times.
Wow.
And they sent me like VHS tapes of his old stand-up so I could like study his mannerisms. I remember like after the movie, and I would look through my reel sometimes of different shows I guest started on, and I seemed to always be talking like this. every time I did a joke, I would talk like this. I would pick like an old Jewish comedian. I think that's why I booked so much after that. But it was a great experience. It's a great movie. I think people were expecting like zany comedy like City Slickers, and but it was very, it was like it was his prestige attempt. You know, it was very wonderful. And the first time director, I think he knocked out of the park. I think it's worth watching again. I think they just did it as a Broadway show last year.
I saw it. I saw the Broadway show. It was fantastic.
Did you?
Yes.
Right on. Was it good?
Fantastic.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And the movie you did, I thought you were sensational. And I remember the movie coming out many, many years ago. And I love the movie. It's a great movie. Go rent it or go watch it.
Yeah, go find it.
Yeah. It's great. So look, you've had an incredible career. What's it like for, folks out there who are aspiring actors, aspiring voiceover actors? What advice do you have to give to them?
Aspiring actors, you gotta love rejection. You gotta love an uphill climb. You gotta love it, and you have to know your limitations and your strengths, because this business, it's not show talent. Justin knows. He'll tell you it's show business.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how talented you are. Like, sometimes it matters like how many followers you have and this and that. You just gotta love it, and you gotta find what makes your cream rise to the top. There's so much more competition out there. What's gonna set you apart from everybody else? And always, always, always be training. And training, whether improv or scene study or just traveling. Go outside your comfort zone and experience life, because all that stuff we borrow as artists, and it goes in here and it goes in here, and we use that to entertain. So always, keep the walls up, and at the same time keep absorbing things.
Yeah, that is great. And any parts you were auditioning for that you lost out on that you would have loved to have done?
Yes, all of them. Who was I talking? There was no way in hell it would have worked out. But I did audition for Robin in the Batman Forever, that Chris O'Donnell booked, which I'm pretty sure like it was a straight offer no matter what. But I went. It was like a Sunday. It was a formality. But that would have been fun. But
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Now you've done an enormous amount, and you'll continue to do an enormous amount more. Well deserved. You're a special person, special talent.
Back at you, Justin.
Your son, I haven't, because last time I saw you was, I think, in
It was in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. That's right. Yeah, I took it with me.
a little Eerie reunion. That's where I met your
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I was unpacking, I found that poster they made for us.
Yeah.
I saved one of those.
Yeah. Cool. How cool.
Wait.
Give him my best.
I will. And is your mom good?
My mom is great. Thank you. How's your mom? How's the rest of your family?
It's great. She's dating. She's having a ball. She's having a good old time.
Jason's mom's dating. All right. Very good to know. So if you're out there, very
Yes.
cool. And how
I'll send a link to her silver singles page. Okay.
And you so smartly left LA and moved to Nashville. And of course, Nashville's like one of the hottest places in the country to move to. Everybody's trying to move to Nashville, but now Nashville is almost as expensive as LA. How did you have the foresight to move to Nashville and get out of this crazy town? And what's it like living there versus LA?
I just followed my gut. I had met a woman in Studio City who was from Tennessee, and so as we got closer, I would visit her family for holidays instead of mine in Rhode Island. And I, like, the second I stepped foot here, I'm telling you, Justin, it was like this weird cosmic, like woo woo kind of thing. But I felt familiar. It felt like I belonged, and because I thought I was going to live and die in LA, because I like the fast pace. It's my industry. All my friends are there. But Nashville's a slower pace. Everyone is authentic. Sometimes a little too authentic, but that's fine. The music scene, incredible. I would walk into I would go to the Viper Room in LA, and you see on the ad, it's like Viper Room, so and so's playing. Show starts at 8. No, 8 is when they let the line start outside the building, and then at 10 they let you in, and the show doesn't start till 11, and it's like $20 to cover. Here in Nashville, there's so many venues, hardly any cover, and you're seeing people pour their guts out on stage. And I just was blown away by that. And I was like, I have to be around this. I have to be around other artists like this and absorb it or support them or both. And the visits just got longer and longer. And I realized I don't have to be in LA to do what I want to do. I can commute if I need to, or I can maybe try, Atlanta. There's a big hub in Atlanta, and New Orleans. You don't have to be in LA anymore to make a living. So we made the leap. I haven't looked back. Love it.
Did you see Nashville blowing up the way it has?
Never, no, I never would have expected that. It went very, very fast. I mean, our airport was so small that if you want to pick up your friend at the airport, there were like spots out front just for people waiting, and there were timers of like 15 minutes, 15-minute limit, or you got to drive around the block. And now they add another terminal. We have direct flights to Iceland starting next year. Direct flights to Ireland.
Wow.
To London. Yeah, and our downtown Broadway is this massive. It's like they were just like lower level areas, and now they have every venue has a rooftop on it. I was living in East Nashville, and that quickly blew up. It's kind of like the Silver Lake.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really cool, interesting restaurants and clubs and experiences and stuff. Yeah, it is. I used to joke that the traffic here was adorable compared to LA. It's not so adorable anymore. It's not so adorable anymore. It's real. It's for real. Yeah, but I love it here. I don't think this is the end game. My girlfriend and I are very much interested in like maybe, in her retirement years, living in another country maybe. But for here is home. That's right.
And so what's next? What can people hear you on now? What's coming up next? What are you auditioning for? What's in the near future?
I did a couple parts of it in Bruce Timm's new Batman Cape Crusader on Amazon, which is great.
Awesome.
I did a movie called The Shift, and the star of that movie, Chris Balaha, cast me in a movie that he directed called Mimic. Should be out later this year, next year. Just still hustling, still doing things. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, and where can everybody find you? Well, I mean, you're all over the socials. I would give it to us so we can make sure we get more followers for you and follow.
I'm in.
You follow your content because it's freaking awesome. It's hilarious, and you connect with your fans in a way that I don't think anybody does. It's your
oh bless. Thank you.
True.
It's fun. I mean, just people that give me attention. It blows my mind. But yeah, I'm on Instagram at Jason Marsden. I don't have a blue check mark because I refuse to pay for my own validity. But trust me, it's me. And I'm on TikTok, but I call it my stepchildren because I always forget about TikTok. But my profile there is Jason Marsden Official, and I'm on there as well.
Good. We don't want the Jason Marsden unofficial. Actually, speaking of Marsden, my partner Tom was like, "Is Jason Marsden and James Marsden brothers?" Has that ever?
No. But you know what's funny? So the woman that I met in Stu City that got me to Nashville, she was in town visiting her best friend since childhood, Lisa, who was married to James Marsden.
No way.
Yeah. And I knew Jimmy because I knew the same last name, but also like Marsden is not my blood name. Marsden was the name of the human who married my mother, and when I was 2, and he adopted me. So I'm not even a blood Marsden. So no, we are not relation, but we are close. We have been a family in a way for a little while.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, look, I love you. Love to your son.
I got you, Jay.
Family to your mom, and thanks for coming on and having some fun.